Today, we are privileged to have the officers here. We are happy that Zambia the national parliament has reached 100 years. Congratulations, congratulations.
The National Assembly of Zambia celebrates 100 years of representing the voice of the people.
This month on DSTV Family, challenge what you know about the Kardashians with this revealing look at the famous family.
Where do we start? Hit me with your best shot.
Celebrate black entertainers and their achievements with the 2024 BET Awards.
Burna Boy. Beyonce.
And join the fun-filled family days with Sonia, Hugo, Mel, and their delightful friends.
Let's go!
There's so much to enjoy on your home of entertainment, so upgrade to DSTV Family.
Dazzling new shows this month. Follow the unlikely partnership of two crime solvers, where trust and teamwork are the keys to cracking each case.
We're all one big happy family now.
Immerse yourself in a heartwarming story of friendship and resilience in our newest novella. And for our younger viewers, join the adventure beneath the waves, where every tale sparkles with magic and excitement.
Oh, yeah.
Enjoy the best brand new entertainment on GoTV. Love it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on Parliament Television. Today is the 25th day in the month of June 2024. And to be on live commentary, my name is Paul Sentindovi.
And I'm Joe Muyunda Akatama, joined by our two sign language interpreters, Chola Kauma and Jason Manda.
Let's quickly look at business that was considered on the floor of the House last week on Friday. Business did begin by Madam Speaker taking note at 09:03 hours that the quorum was not formed. Thereafter, Madam First Deputy Speaker ordered the bells to be rung, House counted, and the quorum having been formed, business commenced.
And thereafter, the acting leader of government business presented the business statement for the period of 25th June to 5th July 2024. Thereafter, the following agent matter without notice understanding order 142 were raised. And Mr. Luka Simumba, who is the Nakonde constituency member of parliament, did raise a matter under the subject matter on why the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning did not appoint members to the tax appeals tribunal, and this one was not admitted.
After that announcement that was made by Madam First Deputy Speaker, the acting leader of government business did present a business statement for the period from 25th June to 5th July 2025, and was consideration of urgent matters without notice, and the following matters without notice under Standing Order 142 were raised, and the first one came from Mr. Simumba, MP, and this one was on why the Honorable Minister of Finance and National Planning did not appoint members to the Tax Appeals Tribunal, and this one was inadmissible. So that's only a matter of without notice that was considered on the floor of the House last week on Friday. And there was a presentation of the supplementary estimates by the Minister of Finance, and this is Dr. Stombeko Musokotwani, MP, and the Minister of Finance presented the supplementary estimates number 1 of 2024, and the estimates 2 referred to the expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee for consideration until Friday, 5th July 2024.
And the Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry briefed the House on measures being undertaken to mitigate the escalating commodity prices following a directive by Mr. Second Deputy Speaker in response to an urgent matter without notice raised by Mr. A. Mumba, Member of Parliament for Kantashi, on Wednesday 19th June 2024. So this is the ministerial statement which we had on 21st June 2024.
Chitambo, Member of Parliament, Mr. Remember Mutale, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Legislation and International Agreements, did move a motion urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Legislation and International Agreements on the consideration of the statutory instruments for the 2023 for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 19th June 2024, and this was resolved in affirmative.
And Mrs. Siveso Sefulo Mwanda, Constituency Member of Parliament, did move a motion urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on the National Economy, Trade and Labour Matters on the fiscal decentralization in Zambia and the impact on the economy for the third session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 20th June 2024. And this particular motion was seconded by Mr. George Chibuye, who is a Ron Constituency Member of Parliament, and this report was adopted.
There being no further debate or business to be considered on the floor of the House adjourned at 12:52 hours. So basically that's the business that was considered on the floor of the House last week on Friday, and today Madam Speaker is expected to take the chair at 14:30. For now, we'll take a short break, and on the side we'll let you in on what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today. Keep watching Parliament Television.
You can now advertise on Parliament Television and Parliament Radio. For more information, call 0977 854102 or 0977 536487. Parliament Television, bringing Parliament closer to you.
For still being with us on Parliament Television, I'd like to say welcome to those of you that are following us on our social media platform, wherever you are. Let us know where you're watching us from, and you can write, comment, and like that page. Let's quickly shift our attention, Joe, and look at what is expected to be considered on the floor of the House today.
Yes, indeed. So we expect announcements, if there will be any, and thereafter two rulings. The first one on a point of order made by Mr. Anakoka Rwena, Constituency Member of Parliament, against Mr. Emmanuel J. Banda, MP. The second one will be on a point of order by Mr. Ronald Chitotela against Mr. B. Kambita, MP.
We expect the House to consider urgent matters without notice, if there will be any, and after that the House will proceed to consider ministerial statement, and this ministerial statement will come from the Minister of Tourism, and it is on the measures being undertaken to prevent incidences of human-animal conflict in Mpika and other parts of the country. If you do remember very well, last week on Friday, the Member of Parliament for Mpika, this is Mr. Francis Kapyanga, did rise on the matter of matter without notice, and there was a directive by Madam First Deputy Speaker to the Minister of Tourism to render a ministerial statement and inform the House and the general public the measures that are being taken to prevent incidences of human-animal conflict in Mpika and other parts of the country.
And thereafter, we expect one urgent question, understanding order 82. Remember, these are questions of urgent in nature. And this one is coming from Mr. Chinga Miutu, who happens to be Kalabo Constituency Member of Parliament. He's directed this question to the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. He wants to find out in two parts. In A, whether the government is aware that Kalabo District has been recording cases of anthrax disease for the past 1 month, and in B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to contain the disease and avert the loss of animal and human life.
We do have three questions of ordinary nature, understanding order 80, and also expect the House to consider a report that will be moved by Mr. Chinga Miutu, who is the chairperson of the Committee on Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance, urging the House to adopt the report of the Committee on Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance on the fight against corruption in Zambia for the third session of the 13th National Assembly. This document was laid on the table of the House on Friday, 21st June 2024. Let's quickly get back to some of the questions that are expected to be considered on the floor of the House. These are ordinary nature, understanding Order 8, and shortly we'll be able to see the presiding officer that will signify the commencement of today's business. Joe, we do have question 371.
Yes, indeed. So question 371 is coming from Mr. Sanjay Chanda, who is Kanchivia constituency member of parliament. He has directed his question to the Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development. He wants to find out in 5 parts. In A, whether the government has any plans to construct a bridge across the Witikira River to connect Chiweshifungamba and Chiwa wards in Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. In B, if so, when the plans will be implemented, and see what the estimate cost of the project is.
But now we cross over to the floor of the House for the commencement of today's business. Keep watching Parliament Television.
Madam Speaker.
King of Zambia, proud and free, land of faith and joy in unity, victors in the struggle for our rights. We want freedom's fight for one, strong and free. Africa is our own motherland, fashioned with and led by those who blend. Let us all our people join as one, brothers under the sun. Oh, one, strong and free. One land and one nation is our cry. Dignity and peace is Zambia's sky. Like a noble eagle in its flight, Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free. Praise be to God, praise be, bless our great Zambia, 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 remain we stand under the flag of our land, Zambia, praise to thee, oh one, strong and free.
Prayer. Almighty God, who in your infinite wisdom and providential goodness has appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to consider with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of such important responsibilities in this land. Let your blessing descend upon us here in Parliament assembled, and grant that we may, as in your presence, treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation, in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country, and of those whose interests we have committed to our charge. Amen. Order. Honorable members, I have three announcements and 2 rulings. I'll start with the announcements. The first is, honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from St. Joseph Pre and Primary School in Mumbwa District. On behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, I warmly welcome our visitors in our midst. Thank you very much. You may take your seats. The second one, honorable members, on Thursday, 28th March 2024, the Honorable Minister of Technology and Science made an undertaking to share with members of Parliament detailed information on the progress made in the construction of communication towers in various constituencies. In this regard, I wish to inform the House that the Ministry has submitted work schedule on the progress made in the construction of communication towers. The schedule has been distributed to all honorable members electronically. I therefore urge all honorable members to start the schedule and liaise with the Ministry of Technology and Science on any queries that may arise therefrom. I thank you. The last one, honorable members, I wish to inform the House that the Patriotic Front Party has appointed Ms. Sibongile Mwamba, Member of Parliament for Kasama Central, as the Deputy Party Whip, replacing Mr. Jonathan Daka, Member of Parliament for Chadiza. I thank you. Order, honorable members. Now we go to the rulings. The first ruling is on a point of order raised on 19th March 2024 by Mr. M. Anakoka, Member of Parliament for Luena constituency, against Mr. J. E. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central constituency, for defying the ruling and directive of the Speaker on the floor of the House. Honorable members, I have a ruling to render against Mr. J. E. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central constituency, on a point of order raised by Mr. M. Anakoka, Member of Parliament for Liua constituency. As per our practice and procedure, a member who raises a point of order and a member to whom the point of order is raised is required to be present in the House when the ruling is delivered. However, I am aware of the circumstances surrounding Mr. J. E. Banda MP, and I'll proceed to render the ruling in his absence. Honorable members will recall that on Tuesday, 19th March 2024, when the House was considering question for oral answer number 312, and Honorable F. C. Mutati, Minister of Technology and Science, had just concluded responding to the question, Mr. M. Anakoka, Member of Parliament for Luena constituency, raised a point of order. In the point of order, he inquired whether Mr. J. E. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petauke Central constituency, and other members who joined him were in order to defy the ruling and directive of the Speaker. The point of order was based on the then Standing Order 205 of the National Assembly of Zambia Standing Orders 2021, which provided for gross disorderly conduct. In her immediate response, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker reserved her ruling to enable her investigate the matter. I have studied the matter and I will now render my ruling. Honorable members, by way of background, the events that gave rise to the point of order are as follows. 1. On Tuesday, 19th March 2024, before rendering a ruling on a complaint by Mr. C. Andeleki, Member of Parliament for Katombola constituency, against Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker requested Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, to go and stand behind the bar of the House. However, Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, while walking to the bar, engaged in protracted arguments with members on her right. 2. The Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker then ordered the Sergeant-at-Arms to remove Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, from the House. However, Mr. J. E. Banda, MP, resisted his removal from the House by the Sergeant-at-Arms, which consequently created disorder in the House. This prompted the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker to suspend business of the House for 10 minutes so that order could be restored. 3. After resumption of business, the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker rendered her ruling, and the House proceeded to consider the business of the day at exactly 15:15 hours. And 4th, when the House resumed to consider the business of the day, it began by considering matters of urgent public importance and subsequently proceeded to consider question for oral answer number 312. It was at that point that Mr. M. Anakoka, MP, raised the point of order under consideration. This was at 15:50 hours, 35 minutes after resumption of business following the alleged misconduct. Honorable members, the House has been guided on several occasions on the nature and function of a point of order and when it can be resorted to. For avoidance of doubt, I will again address this issue. Standing Order 141A of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024 provides that, and I quote, 1. A point of order may be admissible if A. It is raised immediately after the alleged breach occurs, end of quote. The erstwhile Speaker, Right Honorable Justice Dr. Matibini, State Counsel, had the occasion to rule on the issue of contemporaneity in the case of a point of order by Honorable T.S. Nguluve, then Deputy Government Chief Whip and Member of Parliament for Kabwe Central Constituency. National Assembly Daily Parliamentary Debates of Thursday, 10th December 2020. In rendering his ruling, the erstwhile Honorable Speaker stated as follows, and I quote, "It is evident that a point of order must relate to a breach of the rules of the House at the material time and should be raised contemporaneously, that is to say, soon after the alleged breach occurs," end of quote. Honorable members, from the foregoing, it is clear that a point of order must be raised contemporaneously. In this regard, I am alive to the fact that on the material day, the proceedings of the House were suspended for 10 minutes due to the alleged misconduct by Mr. J. E. Banda, MP. Notably, Mr. M. Anakoka, MP, could not raise his point of order at the time that the alleged breach occurred, as the business of the House was suspended, and soon after resumption, the presiding officer was rendering her ruling. However, business of the House was well underway at the time the point of order was raised. On that basis, and in line with the rules and procedure of the House, the earliest possible time that Mr. M. Anakoka, MP, should have raised his point of order was after the presiding officer had concluded rendering the ruling and before the consideration of the matters of urgent public importance. Therefore, the point of order is inadmissible for not being raised immediately after the alleged breach occurred. Honorable members, that notwithstanding, Mr. J. E. Banda, MP's conduct on the floor of the House was offensive to both the office of the Speaker and the proceedings of the House and breached the rules of parliamentary etiquette. Such conduct has the potential to demean the office of the Speaker and disrupt the proceedings of the House, and this is certainly an act of gross misconduct. Mr. J.E. Banda's conduct on that day was unbefitting of a member and earnestly undermined the integrity, dignity, and decorum of the House. I therefore wish to seize this opportunity to remind honorable members that the rules of parliamentary etiquette require honorable members to debate and conduct themselves with civility and sobriety at all times. In this regard, honorable members are not expected to engage in personal attacks or physical confrontation on the floor of the House, within the premises of Parliament, or indeed elsewhere. Clearly, any resort to actions or conduct that results in disruption of parliamentary business is totally unacceptable and must be deprecated. Honorable members are cognizant of the fact that Mr. J.E. Banda is not in the House because he is indisposed. Ordinarily, he ought to have been in the House after serving his 30 days suspension. It is my sincere hope that during this time he had time to reflect on his conduct and has reformed. I wish to urge him to always conduct himself honorably and desist from conduct that is likely to bring this House into disrepute and odium. I thank you. That is what we are talking about, honorable members, behaving ourselves in an orderly manner. I will continue to the second ruling so that the honorable members who are late can stand for a while. The second point is on a point of order raised on Tuesday, 19th March 2024, by Mr. R.K. Chitotela, Member of Parliament for Pambashe Constituency, against Mr. B. Kambita, Member of Parliament for Zambezi East Constituency, for the alleged use of unparliamentary and demeaning language against him and other opposition members of Parliament. Honorable members, the House will recall that on Tuesday, 19th March 2024, when the House was considering question for oral answer number 312, and the Honorable F.C. Mutati, Minister of Technology and Science, had just finished responding to a supplementary question, Mr. R.K. Chitotela, Member of Parliament for Pambashe Constituency, raised a point of order. The point of order was premised on Standing Order 203 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2021, which provides for conduct of members. In his point of order, Mr. R.K. Chitotela, MP, stated that at the beginning of the sitting, when the Honorable Madam First Deputy Speaker had suspended business, Mr. B. Kambita, Member of Parliament for Zambezi East Constituency, walked from his seat, stood at the center and used unparliamentary language towards him and other senior members of Parliament. Mr. R.K. Chitotela, MP, further stated that Mr. B. Kambita, MP, referred to the said members as, in quotes, lumpens, which he found very provocative. He therefore inquired why Mr. B. Kambita, MP, should not be disciplined for referring to other members of Parliament as lumpens. Honorable members, in her immediate response, Madam First Deputy Speaker reserved her ruling to study the matter. I have since studied the matter and I will now render my ruling. Honorable members, I had recourse to the verbatim record of the proceedings of the relevant day and note that the point of order relates to a period when I had suspended business of the House for 10 minutes to restore order and decorum in the House. This was as a result of the disorder occasioned by Mr. J.E. Banda, Member of Parliament for Petaoke Central Constituency, and his failure to heed to my directive to leave the House. Honorable members, our standing orders are instructive on the issue of points of order. A point of order is defined as an assertion made by a member that a rule of procedure or privilege of the House has been breached. Further, Standing Order 139.7 provides as follows, and I quote, 139.6. A point of order shall only be raised in relation to the conduct of business of the House being transacted at the time the point of order is raised, end of quote. Accordingly, Audrey O'Brien and Mark Bosco, in their book entitled House of Commons Procedure and Practice, 2nd edition, Quebec, Thomson Reuters, 2009, define a point of order in the following terms at page 632, and I quote, a point of order is an intervention by a member who believes that the rules or customary procedures of the House have been incorrectly applied or overlooked during the proceedings. During the proceeding, emphasis is mine. Members may raise on points of order to bring the attention of the chair any breach of the relevance or repetition rule and parliamentary remarks or lack of quorum, end of quote. Honorable members, based on the authorities cited above, it is clear that a point of order must be raised on the floor of the House in respect of an alleged breach of the rules of procedure or privilege. Further, the point of order must be in relation to the business being transacted at the time it is raised. Therefore, for alleged breaches that occur outside the House, the same cannot be brought to my attention using other, the alleged breaches that occur outside the House, the same can be brought to my attention using other avenues, such as through a letter of complaint. Honorable members, in the current matter, Mr. Arakech Totela MP alleged that Mr. B. Kambita MP used unparliamentary and demeaning language towards him and other members during the period when business of the House was suspended. Therefore, in line with the above authorities, the point of order is inadmissible. I thank you. We proceed to the next item on the order paper, which is urgent matters without notice. I've seen several indications. In accordance with our rules, only 3 matters can be raised, and this should be done within 2 minutes. I will start with the Honorable Member from Nkana.
Madam Speaker, the province of Luapula is endowed with a lot of minerals, and we can conclude it's a very rich province and has seen peace since the time of independence. My matter without notice, Madam Speaker, is directed to Our Honor, the Vice President, who is in charge of business of the House. Madam Speaker, there is serious apprehension in Luapula as we speak today because of a foreign national, a Vietnamese, who is trotting from one palace to another, trying to negotiate for land in a reported transaction that will see this Vietnamese parting away with 6 million hectares of land for an investment. There is a news item that was carried by ZNBC, Madam Speaker, you wish to know, where a meeting was held between the said Vietnamese and government officials, in which meeting even the Minister of Luapula was present and ZDA officials, where this said transaction, where a Vietnamese is poised to part away with 6 million hectares of land, was being discussed. Madam Speaker, is Our Honor the Vice President, in order to sit quiet and allow this apprehension from Luapula all the way into Muchinga, because the said piece of land is said to be from Luapula and Muchinga? Is Our Honor the Vice President in order to keep quiet and not address this raging debate over the transaction to part away with almost a quarter of this country to a foreign national. I seek your indulgence, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Nkana. The matter that you have raised, I've seen it do some rounds on social media, but I suggest you put in a question. You can put in a question for then our Honor the Vice President will be able to answer. The Honorable Member for Pambashe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'm grateful. I am directing this question to the Minister of Agriculture because as we are speaking, Madam Speaker, this Vietnamese individual is in my constituency. And he had a meeting with the Senior Chief Mshot. And they are very concerned, Madam Speaker, as people of Luapula, as people of Pambashe, where the Minister of Agriculture can comfortably sit there and then without addressing us, we the people of Pambashe who are getting affected, because you may take it light. This is a serious matter that is affecting all of us, where somebody is busy trying to convince the traditional authority, Madam Speaker, to sign him land that he can process and put on title without the consideration and for the information of those who may not be aware. Vichishinga people belongs no single chief can make a decision without consulting these two cranes. Is the government in order, Madam Speaker, through the Minister of Agriculture, even to send his friend, who's the former member of Parliament,
let's listen.
Through the Minister of Agriculture, Madam Speaker, who's even assigned his former friend, a former member of Parliament for Western Province, who's in that entourage as I'm speaking right now. And they spent a night in Luwingu and they drove to Mushota to allow this, the foreign investor, to have land without due consideration to the feelings of the people of that area. I seek your serious guidance, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Pambashe. I believe the Honorable Member for Pambashe was in the House when the Honorable Member for Nkana was raising the same matter, and in accordance with the rules, we are not supposed to repeat ourselves. And in particular, I refer to rule number 73. So the Honorable Member for Pambashe, that matter has already been raised by the Honorable Member for Nkana, and he has been advised to put in a question. So let's wait for him to put a question, and when that matter is being answered, or that question is being answered, the Honorable Member for Pambashe will be able to ask questions of points of clarification. The last one, Honorable Member for... Now I'm trying to balance, I don't know now. It's supposed to be Honorable Member for Kanyama, but Honorable Member for Narolo is alone, so I don't know. Okay, we go for Honorable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, without wasting much of our time, in 3 to 4 months' time, Madam Speaker, it will be the onset of rains. And once this happens, you realize that there are outbreaks of a number of diseases coupled with, the floods, which have, seen a number of, lives being lost. It's because of this, Madam Speaker, that I want to find out how prepared the government is in mitigating the outbreaks of cholera, including floods, which the areas like Kanyama is facing during this period. I thank you.
Honorable Member for Kanyama, that point matter was directed to which ministry?
Leader of Government Business, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. I suggest you put in a question because last week, was it last week? We were dealing with a similar matter of cholera in Eastern Province, Chipata in particular, and the Honorable Minister of Health did attend to that matter and touched on a number of areas and what we need to do. So, Honorable Member for Kanyama, put in a question, then Her Honor the Vice President will be able to address that concern. Thank you. That concludes. Honorable members. Honorable Member for Masaiti. Thank you. We go to the next item on the agenda. I have permitted the Honorable Minister of Tourism to make a ministerial statement. The Honorable Minister of Tourism. Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for granting me this opportunity to address the nation through this August House on the measures that government, through my ministry, is taking to prevent incidences of human-wildlife conflict in Mpika and other parts of the country, resulting in loss of human life, injuries, and damage to property. Madam Speaker, as you may be aware, I've on several occasions presented comprehensive ministerial statements on the floor of this House regarding human-wildlife conflict as a significant growing conservation challenge globally and Zambia in particular. Madam Speaker, the government through the Ministry of Tourism wishes to state that we have noticed with great concern the manner in which some residents of Nabwalia Chiefdom and other parts of the country have either been killed or left injured. In some instances, their property damaged by dangerous wild animals. This situation is highly regrettable by government, as well as the ministry responsible for the management of wildlife and protected areas. The ministry is fully aware that in the recent past, human-wildlife conflicts, mostly involving elephants and lions, have significantly continued increasing, largely due to increase in both wildlife populations and human population, leading to extension of crop fields in animal habitats and interference of animal corridors. Further, it should be noted that the drought experienced during the 2023-2024 rain season has come with its own environmental effects, which are anticipated to be more severe this year than ever recorded before. As such, some animals are expected to wander about in search of forage, space, and water. This situation is causing animals to stray into human settlement areas, hence high prevalence of wildlife-induced conflicts in areas like Nabwalia Chiefdom. Madam Speaker, the ministry also regrets that in the last 1 month, Nabwalia Chiefdom has recorded some human-animal conflict incidences, notable among which are the death involving a child aged 10 who was attacked and eaten by a lion, and a community scout aged 48 who succumbed to an elephant attack. The ministry, through the Department of National Parks and Wildlife, promptly responded to all these incidences and took appropriate actions where both the elephant and lion were instantly controlled by way of killing in order to prevent more deaths. Madam Speaker, government through my ministry is implementing measures aimed at mitigating human-wildlife conflict throughout the country. In Mpika, particularly in Nabwalia Chiefdom, the ministry, in collaboration with conservation partners such as Frankfurt Zoological Society, has been implementing measures to mitigate human-wildlife conflicts and protect the residents of the chiefdom and their property. Some of the measures, Madam Speaker, include, but not limited to, number one, community-based safeguards. These include chili blasters, chili fences, and fireworks to scare and deter problem animals from human settlements. 2, elephant-proof grain storages, construction of concrete grain stores for residents for safely storing of grain as opposed to traditional grain stores. 3. Smell elephant repellent fence lines. The smell deters elephants from reaching settlement areas. 4. Animal intrusion detection and response systems, ANIDAS. These produce light and alarm to scare away animals within a recommended radius. 5. Motion sensor lights for animal predation. They produce light to scare away wildlife, especially cats. 6. Controlling of problem animals. Problem animals are controlled by way of killing. 7. Scaring animals using firearms. This is highly responsive officers use firearms to scare away problem animals. Robust community sensitization and awareness. The ministry has continued conducting sensitization and awareness sessions on animal behavior, animal corridors, general management plan provisions, wildlife protected area ethics, and behavioral expectations of humans. 9. Rapid response teams. The government has this year procured 6 4x4 Land Cruiser vehicles for rapid response to HWC incidences, and these vehicles have been distributed to all hotspot areas. 10. Use of indigenous methods. Nabwaria committee members are encouraged to continue using indigenous methods such as drumming and digging trenches alongside contemporary measures. And 11, specialized in-service training of wildlife police officers in human-wildlife conflict. The government will train wildlife police officers in the protection of human life and property from HWC incidences at Nyamaluma Training School by the end of 2024, who will be deployed in Nabwaria Chiefdom and other parts of the country. It is imperative to note that with this situation at hand, government has continued implementing integrated mitigation measures in the management of human-wildlife conflicts with strict focus on hotspot areas in order to promote coexistence while safeguarding human life and property. Madam Speaker, contrary to the perception by some citizens that government is more interested in the well-being of animals than people, I wish to reiterate that government, through my ministry, is committed to the provision of prompt response services to all incidences of human-wildlife conflicts in order to protect human life and property. Further, government is committed to ensuring that human life and property are adequately protected from wildlife-induced conflicts countrywide. Madam Speaker, may I also take this opportunity to make an earnest appeal through this August House to the general public to always adhere to the following protected area ethics in order to reduce human-wildlife conflicts. 1. Remain calm when there is an anticipated confrontation with wild animals and promptly report to the nearest DNPW offices, or where not available, the local police station or local authorities such as community resources boards, the CRBs, councillors, headmen, and the Royal Highnesses who in turn report to the relevant authorities. 2. Desist from getting closer, surrounding, molesting, harassing wildlife with incessant noise and throwing of objects and killing stray animals. Instead, help to disseminate information so that members of the public could exercise cautionary measures as they go about their daily businesses. 3 shifts. Desist from washing or drawing water in crocodile-infested water bodies. Avoid watching and taking photos closer to the wild animals. Indeed, desist from settling and farming in wildlife corridors. And also, avoid farming too close to river or stream banks. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Zambian government, and indeed on my own behalf, as minister responsible for the management of wildlife and protected areas, I implore all citizens to abide by the ethics of wildlife protected areas in order to peacefully coexist and interact with wildlife and subsequently reduce human-wildlife conflicts. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, my ministry remains committed to laying a firm foundation for a future where communities and wildlife animals coexist for the betterment of the citizens, wildlife estates, and the nation. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Honorable members are now free to ask questions on points of clarification on the ministerial statement given by the Honorable Minister of Tourism. The Honorable Member for Chitambo.
Madam Speaker, I'm very grateful. And I also wish to take my time to pass condolences to the families that lost their beloved. Madam Speaker, this issue of human-animal conflict is a very serious issue and a serious matter, so to say, especially to members who have constituencies which are very much affected. Chitambo is included on the list. Madam Speaker, has the ministry taken time to study the issue of these stray animals? How much has been invested in this matter to ensure that we cordon the stray animals? Because it is not the humans which are following animals, it is the animals which are following humans. What are we doing, Madam Speaker, to ensure that we avoid animals coming out of where they're supposed to be? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, indeed, government is very, very saddened by the loss of life resulting from animal-human conflict. I must also inform you, Madam Speaker, that I'm privileged to have been at the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, where one of the issues we were discouraging our people from doing was encroachment of these areas. Indeed, as a Member of Parliament himself has said, it's not only the people, the animals coming to the areas where humans live, but it's our people also encroachment on these reserves. Madam Speaker, this government has invested heavily, one through the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment, through the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation, as well as the host ministry itself, the Ministry of Tourism. Several projects actually right now on hand to ensure that we answer to this problem. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Water and Development currently will construct over 225 watering points to ensure that wild animals are kept in their safe areas. Indeed, sensitization programs have been on the upswing to ensure that our people live peacefully with these animals. Further, Madam Speaker, in some areas where this cage has been on the upswing, the Ministry of Tourism has started projects where certain areas actually are fenced off. Madam Speaker, we will do everything possible for our people to ensure that their lives are protected. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe just as a matter of clarification, if I heard the Honorable Member for Chitambo correctly, he was stating that it was the animals that were going to people's habitation instead of the animals doing the same. That is what the Honorable Member for Chitambo said. So maybe, Honorable Minister, if you can clarify that point.
Madam Speaker, indeed, I clarified that point. It's both ways. Madam Speaker, I come from Mumbwa. Madam Speaker, I come from Mumbwa. The whole of the Mumbwa area leading into Kafue National Park has been heavily encroached by our people. So when you look at these national parks, first of all, GMAs and the national parks, most of them right now are heavily encroached. One way is to ensure that we sensitize our people. We request our people not to go to these areas. That's one way. The other way, indeed, and this one, Madam Speaker, you will see a surge, climate-induced problems Now that we have experienced a punishing drought, Madam Speaker, and most of the watering holes, most of the springs, most of the rivers are dry now, as the animals forage, these wildlife animals, they will be looking for watering holes. And some of these watering holes will be in areas where our people live. That's why we are asking our people to be cautious. That's why we are also asking our people not to cultivate near these GMOs, near these river sources, to really avoid this human-animal conflict. Further, Madam Speaker, as I stated already, we as government are deliberately taking these watering holes to areas where the animals live, so that the animals do not wander away so much to areas where our people live. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member from Pika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to ask my question, and welcome back. Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism, thank you also for that statement. Madam Speaker, it is imperative at times that when these issues are raised, the executive, particularly the ministers, take interest in getting to the ground and have first-hand information. Some of the information gathering which is done whenever there is an issue it leaves much in terms of facts. The situation in Awaria, Madam Speaker, for instance, is a very serious one. I personally survived an elephant attack when I was coming back 2 weeks ago. This is not even something that a minister can joke about. It's a very serious issue. I and my team, including 2 of my councillors, survived. As I was leaving, 2 people, and one of them a child, were killed by a lion. Not even a hand was picked by the family. What is contributing high to the growth of animals to an extent where they are roaming communities is because the hunting concessions were cancelled. For 3 years now, there has never been any hunting in Luawata and in Nyampande, in Chief Nabwara Chiefdom, in North Ruangwa National Park. And this has increased the population of animals. Honorable Minister, when will your government reinstate the cancelled hunting concessions? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And the government regrets the death of any of our people, and it will do everything possible to preserve these lives. I must inform the Member of Parliament that I've been very well prepared by the Minister of Tourism, particularly in this matter, and many matters concerning tourism. And I will inform the Member of Parliament that the Minister of Tourism, through national parks, has been very active in that area, because that area has been accepted as a hotspot area. Members, officers from the national parks are on the ground as I speak right now, and they will do everything possible to protect the lives of the people in Awaria and people in all the other parts of the country. On the issue of concession license, Madam Speaker, I'm aware that this was a subject of a court action, and that the Ministry of Tourism may come with specifics. The minister, the substantive minister, will come with specifics to discuss this matter comprehensively. So it will be in my handover notes as I meet him tomorrow. Madam Speaker, I invite the Member of Parliament actually to visit the Minister of Tourism for a better engagement. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Chilubi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. Madam Speaker, ecologically speaking, and in addition, the food chain entails that since Zambia at independence had 3.5 million people, And most of the game parks, if you check, they were created when we were at 5.2 million Zambians. Now we are at 20 million. Meaning that the dwelling places of people and search for food and economic activities is expanding. The minister did say that the animals, the people are following the animals, but I would like to believe that's the other way around, where actually animals are following people in some way, because this is where we create a notion that animals are more important than people, because the population has bulged. And as the population bulges, Minister, I think it's a reality that the number of animals has been reducing in certain places as the population swells. Minister, I would like to find out from you how you intend to create a balance between areas that you already call have been encroached in by human beings, and I don't want to talk about animals coming into human settlement. Are you thinking of degazetting those areas? Because if you look at the time that national parks were created, and consequently the game management areas were created, the population was small. And now we have grown, in terms of population size, meaning that human beings, to me, take priority in terms of settlement than animals, because even conservation, the principle is that we conserve for future generations, and these future generations are human beings, not animals. So I don't know whether you intend to degazette some of the areas where human beings are staying, instead of giving animals room to take priority over animals, over human beings. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Acting Honorable Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much for that very important question. And I agree with you, Honorable Member, that indeed the population has increased. 20, 30 years ago it was small, now it's quite big. And obviously the population, our population, need more land. Madam Speaker, Zambia is about 750,000 kilometers squared. We are only 20 million people. When you look at the percentage of the national parks, GMAs, including forests, it's quite small. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, maybe the short of the answer on the other side is that yes, indeed, government is looking at degazation for some of the areas. However, this will be the last solution. Madam Speaker, tourism is a sector which government has earmarked to contribute to the growth of our GDP. Protecting these GMAs, protecting these national parks is cardinal. Madam Speaker, again I come from the environment space where there were protected forests. This is the same challenge we were facing. Protected forests being illegally encroached. Forests also are earmarked to contribute significantly to our GDP. It's a balance, Madam Speaker. In certain areas where the tourism potential is very high, we will discourage our people from occupying those national forests. We are also looking very strongly at relocating these people from these areas, GMAs, national parks, and protected forests. We do not encourage illegal settling in these, as you said, Honorable Member, ecologically sensitive areas. We're experiencing a punishing drought, and some of these areas, ecologically sensitive, are responsible for the rains we receive. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Trying to balance, the Honorable Member for Nalolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your statement. Madam Speaker, the issue of human-animal conflict was there before drought, and it was there in a very aggravated way. Madam Speaker, as you may be aware, in Sioma, we have elephants that reach even Nalolo, Kalabo, Nalikwanda. We have lions from Lovezi reaching Luena, Now, my concern now, Madam Speaker, is that with this drought and hunger, you have two parties searching. The people are hungry and the animals are hungry. So the human-animal conflict can only get worse. I want to find out from the minister if his ministry or the acting minister, if the ministry has generated a well-researched scientific report which tells you which are the hotspots. Because 6 land cruisers for the country, Madam Speaker, those 6 land cruisers are not even enough just for Western Province alone. And now we are talking about Mpika. So does the Ministry of Tourism have a document where people have gone around the country and can tell you where the hotspots are? Because I can tell you now, Madam Speaker, in Nalolo, just in Nalolo alone, I lost 5 lives 2 months ago from elephants and hippos. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. That is my question.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for that very, very important question. And indeed, this conflict can only increase. However, government is prepared. For the correction of the Member of Parliament, these land cruisers are for rapid response. The national parks itself, the department, is very well ready with many other vehicles, and they are on the ground. Further, there's now improved collaboration among ministries. You know, the New Dawn government promotes the one government approach. Near these GMAs and national parks is where forests are. So the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Green Economy and Environment have formed a very close partnership to work as one government. So indeed, these land cruisers are just an addition. These are rapid response, ready to respond to any emergency. This is over and above what the department has. I want to confirm with you, without any fear of contradiction, that the Ministry of Tourism has been carrying out a lot of research in their national parks. And all conflict areas, all corridors is where the animals normally pass, are very clearly marked. Indeed, the Ministry of Tourism has been carrying out a lot of sensitization to our people. So I can confirm to you that yes, indeed, there's a document. Yes, indeed, there are plans. And yes, indeed, even the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation is helping in mitigating these expected challenges. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Lunte.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, thank you for your statement. Allow me to register the condolences of the good people of Lunte to all those who may have lost their lives through animal attacks, including the 10-year-old child and the 48-year scout. Madam Speaker, when the Minister tendered his statement to the House, I considered Nabwaria being in Muchinga province, and I actually thought that the risk of animals and people fighting for places of habitation will only increase after the 6 million land deal goes through. Madam Speaker, the measures of coexistence have failed. This is why people are dying at the hands of animals. Madam Speaker, the next time trained people will be sent to Nabwaria will be at the end of 2024. What will happen between now and the end of next year, considering that the existing measures have failed? Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much for that important question, Member of Parliament for Lunte. I'm sure you are also aware that Honorable Chipoka Mulenga has issued a statement on the 6 million hectares. And this has been very, very clearly, the statement is very, very clear. Measures of coexistence have not failed. We will push for these measures to succeed. But over and above promoting coexistence, we are trying to ensure that animal lives as well as human lives are protected. Human lives matter, and they will always matter more than the animal lives. That's why when we see deaths being experienced from the animals, it's the animals we take out. And we have demonstrated very, very clearly that animals matter. that the people matter. Further, Madam Speaker, we are taking all necessary measures, including making sure that the animals are confined to their habitat. We are also making sure that our people do not encroach in these protected areas. I want to encourage all members of parliament, particularly those coming from areas where there's human-animal conflict, to indeed educate our people on the dangers. We need to speak more. Please partner with the Ministry of Tourism so that together we can form a united front. We need to protect our people. This is a non-partisan issue. We are protecting all Zambians, and all Zambians indeed will be protected by this government. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. You can stop the clock. There is an indication for a point of order from the Honorable Minister of Northern Province. What's the point of order, Honorable Minister?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I reluctantly rise on this very important point of order, premised on Standing Order number 65. We have not been given the new one, so I am okay. Yes. Madam Speaker, permission to proceed.
You may proceed, Honorable Minister, for your help, for your assistance. It's now Standing Order 71.
Thank you very much. Standing Order number 71, Madam Speaker. This point of order is on the Honorable Member for Lunte, who is indicating in front of everyone, in your presence, Madam Speaker, the entire nation is watching, to say there's a deal for 6 million land that is about to go through. Madam Speaker, if you have wrote and someone keeps on referring to something that you have wrote that it shouldn't be in this house, I don't know, Madam Speaker, whether the honorable member is in order to refer to something that has been wrote upon, something that is just out of his imaginations. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister of Northern Province. I had indicated, guided that the Honorable Member from Nkana puts in a question. So we wait for that question, Honorable Members. Let's not refer to or rely so much on media, on social media stories, because we are going to mislead people. So let's wait for the question to be submitted, and then follow-up questions will be made. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member for Lumezi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and permit me to join those members that are welcoming you back to the House and sending sincere messages of condolences to those that have lost lives as a result of human-animal conflict. Madam Speaker, I sympathize with the Honorable Acting Minister. Would have loved to have the substantive minister respond to these questions, because the move of this question is my neighbor, Mpika borders Lumezi constituency, and he had mentioned one of those that are involved in hunting, Luawata. In your statement, Honorable Acting Minister, you did not mention what you will do to firms that are into the hunting business. Like we've got Kantanta hunting safaris in Lumezi, for example. They deliberately chase animals towards where human life is. They don't do anything in form of social corporate responsibility. Yet, you are telling this August House that you will try by all means possible to keep animals far away from where human life is. On one hand, you are not telling us what you are doing to firms, like Kantanta, for example, hunting safari, that are mischievous, deliberately pushing animals towards where human life is. What are you doing about such firms? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the member of Lumezi sincerely. Maybe also inform him that I do not need your sympathies. When you are acting minister, you have the full knowledge, you have the full powers, and you are briefed accordingly. So here I'm speaking with the authority of Minister of Tourism. I can only encourage you to listen very attentively. And I want to repeat what I said for his benefit. And first of all, I really want to see how we can closely work together with the Member of Parliament of Lumezi, because indeed, we are aware of the issues in that area. Madam Speaker, we will continue sensitizing our people. And again, I want to repeat, this issue is in both ways. Animals coming to areas where our people live, but also our people going to areas where the animals are. We need to strike a balance. In some areas, Member of Parliament for Lumezi, I'm also aware that even physical barriers are proposed. I'm also aware that some of the watering holes which will be put under the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation in order to confine, by way of provision of this requisite resource, to the animals, that will confine those animals in that area. I'm also aware, Madam Speaker, that your area, and of course Nabwali as well, is one of the areas where we will station these quick response vehicles. Madam Speaker, I also requested members of Parliament, councillors, headmen, our traditional leaders, to really, first of all, educate our people, but also, whenever danger arises, to quickly inform the national NPW, the police, and other relevant authorities. Madam Speaker, this is a matter of life and death, and I can only encourage the Member of Parliament to visit our offices, to see what measures we are putting in place, but also to learn from you, sir. To learn from you. If there are any problems about people pushing away animals, we will not tolerate that. And together with yourself, would like to find a solution. So, Honorable Munia Zulu, sir, come to our offices so that we work together to resolve this problem. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, you've been invited. You can take up, you don't have to respond. Let's make progress. The Honorable Member for Mwandi.
Thank you so very much, Madam Speaker, and welcome back. Honorable Minister, I wanted to find out, in these GMAs, do you have a limit to how many animals that we can have, especially the ones that are always involved in the human-animal conflict? I ask this question because we've learned from our neighbors that actually they were threatening to send some of the animals to Europe. So you find that we have these animals, yet we are struggling that we can crop. Is there a way that when we reach a certain number of animals that we have, we should be able to crop them? I submit.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
How many animals you have in an area is called the carrying capacity. Madam Speaker, the carrying capacities of most of these areas are quite high. As to the numbers, exact numbers, I may not be aware myself. I think the substantive minister can answer that question. That is a specific question, how many numbers? Bring a question so that we can answer it properly. So on the numbers, the Honorable Member for Shuali Masaiti, on the exact number. Madam Speaker, as the member sits down there, indeed, on the issue of concessions, the hunting licenses, again, this is a subject which Honorable Skumba will come and inform the House. Madam Speaker, on any other issues raised in the statement, I'm here to answer them. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Honorable members, we are supposed to ask points of clarification on the statement that has been rendered. So we make progress. The Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First and foremost, I want to also convey my condolences to the people who lost their loved ones in Nabwaria. Madam Speaker, the issue of man-animal conflict has been on this floor several times. And listening from the minister, the measures government is taking, it's the same stories this ministry has been telling us for the past almost 2 years, Madam Speaker. I feel that as long as the ministers don't go and visit these areas and engage the people on the ground, I think we'll be repeating ourselves every time ministerial statements. Madam Speaker, I'll give for example, if you allow me. We had the challenge in Eastern Province over the issue of the roads and in Chama. The Minister of Infrastructure came, even spent the night in Chama, and today, the issue of
the Honorable Member, I know the subject can be covering a lot of areas. Let's restrict ourselves to the ministerial statement, that has been rendered. Please ask your points of clarification.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my question to the Minister is, do you have a time frame to go and engage people on the ground? Because these ministerial statements are not going to help us. So, to me, my question, I want a time frame whether the Minister is going to visit Mpika, Chairman, these other areas where the issues of man-animal conflict is more prominent. I feel that way the minister will be able to inform cabinet so that cabinet can make, I think, an informed decision. I submit, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much for that important question, and I sympathize with the Honorable Mtachalo because indeed these incidences are being experienced. But to confirm with him that cabinet is fully aware, that's why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking, because I'm a member of this cabinet. Madam Speaker, it's not the same stories. Right now we have a rapid response team. Right now the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation will be constructing watering holes. Right now there's more budgetary allocation to ensure that there are mitigation measures. Indeed, I would agree with him, my colleague, that more measures need to be put in place. Again, these measures we've been talking about on the floor of this House are measures we need to upscale on. Madam Speaker, we can only work together to ensure that our people are protected. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
We'll add 5 more minutes. The Honorable Member for Feira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, indeed I agree with Honorable Member for Chama North that the Minister has been coming to the floor of the House, giving very elaborate statements, but on the ground there's been something different happening. And I'm wondering why the case is like that. Just last week we were burying one man killed by an elephant. Just today, the whole of Kavalamanja, people are indoors because of fear of elephants which are roaming around those areas. Now, one of the issues in the last statement was that you will create What has happened to that task force? We are now wondering whether you are coming just, for, lip service in this house, or you are indeed coming here to offer solutions. People, you are worried about these deaths. And let me also just, offer condolences to all that have died out of this issue. So, people believe that you care more animals than people, because when an animal has been killed, your officers rush to go and arrest. But when it's the opposite, that does not. So would you clarify what has happened to the idea of the task force, or indeed are you just coming here to give us lip service? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, let me again sympathize and offer condolences to my fellow Member of Parliament for failure. From the tone, you are a sad man. Government is sadder. Any loss of any life, precious life, is regretted. And this government will do everything possible to ensure that our people are safe. Lives of our people matter more than any other life. And this reality is what will continue. Madam Speaker, the measures outlined by myself today, measures outlined by the substantive Minister of Tourism, are measures which we will do and upscale. And obviously, any additional measures from those who live in those areas, those who may know better, are welcome. So, Member of Parliament for Failure, you are also welcome. I'm aware that the Minister of Tourism has enlisted several members of Parliament here. I think most of us are even officers. Officers, yes. This is to ensure that we help in protecting our people, in disseminating this information. So the Minister of Tourism has been very engaged, very well engaged with our people. Madam Speaker, as I said already, yes, I confirm that the task force is there, and those in sensitive areas are welcome to join this task force. Indeed, government would do everything possible, again, as I repeat, it will do everything possible to ensure that all the lives of all the Zambians are protected. These are valued lives. This government exists because of the goodwill of the Zambian people. And all Zambians will be protected in all the areas of this country. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Kafue.
Madam Speaker, Minister, and the questions I think that my colleagues have asked, we will wait upon government to see concretely what happens, because even I speak with a very heavy heart, because Chiawa, my people in Chiawa are equally affected, and so far whatever strategies have been talked about, it means they are not working, because we are really stressed with this issue. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. It was a comment. The Honorable Member for Nakonde.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I was listening to the ministerial statement attentively from the Minister, and he cautioned the people that are being affected that they should remain calm when confronted by wild animals. I don't know if the Minister has ever been confronted by a lion, and he was calm. Madam Speaker, I wanted to find out from the Minister, why are you taking your time without killing these dangerous wild animals, and instead you are entertaining them by not taking a step of killing them? When are you starting killing these dangerous animals so that the people of Nabwadia can be safe? Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Tourism.
Madam Speaker, let me thank the member of Nakonde for that question, and also maybe caution him and advise him that the measures we inform members of this House and members of the public through this House must be taken seriously. This caution to remain calm is as a result of research. How do you behave when you are found in that unfortunate situation? And the caution is that you remain calm. This is from the experts. So we can only encourage members of parliament here, all of us across the divide, to take these precautionary measures and inform our people. We should be the vessels in which the Minister of Tourism must transmit this information. So this information is given so that it reaches our people. So let's be serious with this information. We are not entertaining any of these dangerous animals. I think I informed this August House again in my statement that we took out these animals. We killed them. And we will kill any animal which poses danger to our people. I want to repeat slowly that lives of Zambians matter more than lives of those animals. There are several measures, and by the way, Madam Speaker, another measure which I've just remembered right now is that in certain conflict areas, and these are areas where we have our sources of rivers, these are ecologically sensitive areas, these are areas where our people are also cultivating, hence attracting hippos, attracting crocodiles. Please, we should not encroach on these areas. Whilst they may have very fertile soils, these areas are dangerous because these are areas which animals patronize as well. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. That concludes that ministerial statement. But what I've observed is that we have had so many ministerial statements on this matter. So many, and at one point the Honorable Minister of Tourism had said that there was going to be some committee of some sort that was going to look at the measures that can be taken to bring this matter to a conclusion, or to find some solutions. There are places like Tanzania. I remember giving this example where human beings are living together with wild animals and domesticated animals. Why don't we learn and find out from them how they are managing? Luena constituency, for example, I don't know whether that was true. I saw some children killing a lion using stones. That was Luena constituency. And Luena constituency, that's where I come from. Usually we don't have stones, so I don't know where they got those stones from. I'm sure it was social media again. But Honorable Minister, Acting Minister, please, I think we need to do more to ensure that we actualize the solutions that are going to resolve this issue of human-animal conflict.
We will take every measure, Madam Speaker, to ensure our people are safe. And all members of Parliament are invited. The nation will be carried along. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. So we make progress. Question for oral answer, Understanding Order 82. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question number 370.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central is asking the Minister of Fisheries and Livestock a question in two parts. A, whether the government is aware that for the past 1 month, Kalabo District has been recording increased cases of anthrax disease. And then B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to contain the disease and avert loss of animal and human lives? Madam Speaker, our response is as follows. The government is aware that 2 cases of anthrax were reported in Lilambo village of Sihole veterinary camp in Kalabo district of Western Province. The disease was confirmed after samples submitted to the provincial veterinary laboratory tested positive. Apart from these 2 cases, there have been no other cases of anthrax reported in the district. The House may wish to note that anthrax is endemic in Western Province and the disease will flare up from time to time. It is for this reason that we vaccinate every year to curb their occurrences. The ministry had planned to vaccinate against anthrax in May and June. However, the province experienced increased cases of contagious bovine pleural pneumonia, CBPP, leading to a delay in the commencement of anthrax vaccination as the ministry had first to attend to the control of CBPP through vaccination of cattle. As you may know, these 2 vaccinations cannot be undertaken simultaneously. B, the government has put in place the following urgent measures to contain the disease and avert loss of animal and human lives in the affected area. 1, sensitization and awareness creation among the communities to educate on the dangers of handling and consuming meat from animals that die on their own. 2, placed a ban on all slaughters and movement of animals in and out of Sihole and Nguma veterinary camps to prevent the spread of the disease in Kalabo district. 3, the ministry has commenced the process of facilitating vaccination of cattle and ruminants and small ruminants in Sihole and Nguma veterinary camps, and this vaccination will extend to the rest of the district. To this effect, Madam Speaker, the ministry is in the process of dispatching 50,000 dosages of anthrax vaccine to the province, out of which 7,000 doses will be used in Sihole veterinary camp and 8,000 will be for Nguma veterinary camp. Given the urgent nature of anthrax situation in Sihole and the Nguma veterinary camps, the ministry will first start with the vaccination against anthrax in these 2 camps, and then this will be followed by vaccination against CBPP 2 weeks later. For the rest of the district, anthrax vaccination will commence immediately after the CBP vaccination have been completed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Supplementary questions? The Honourable Member for Kalabo Central.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm sure the Honourable Minister is aware that we had a discussion with him together with the Director for Veterinary Services. I got assured that things will move at that pace. But calling the DVO, District Veterinary Officer for Kalabo today, it still indicates that the vaccine is not yet in Kalabo. So, a number of questions. Anyway, Honorable Minister, first of all, the samples were sent to Mongu on 7th May, only to get the results 30 days after. Look at this period. Whilst the government knows how serious this disease is, how dangerous it is to human life. So, why should it take 4 weeks for results of a sample of a critical disease to be like that? why should it take a month? What challenges that causes the laboratories in Mongu, not Lusaka, but Mongu, to take 4 months, 4 weeks? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that follow-up question. Madam Speaker, as you have heard, that I did engage the Honorable Member of Parliament over the same situation that is happening in Sihole, and we did assure him that we'll do all the best that we can do to quickly respond to the situation. It's really very unfortunate that our staff can take 30 days to give the feedback of the samples. I think, Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member is aware that we are making a follow-up why the laboratory delayed to release the results. There is work that is being done by our staff. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Masaiti.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, what is the overall seropositive rate after you sampled these areas which were infected, that is Numa and Sihole veterinary camps? Because for me, you need to know when you are supposed to reinforce the vaccination programs. So what is the seropositive? I know you know what I'm talking about. What is the seropositive rate in these areas, in Nguma and Sihole veterinary camps? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and also thank you very much, Honorable Member. I'm sure the Honorable Member is the former Minister of the same ministry. He knows that each time we have a schedule on how we vaccinate our animals to protect them against anthrax. And that specific question of the rate, the sero rate of Sihole and Nguma, I can provide it after collecting. Currently, we don't have. We were set to vaccinate during May and June, and that is our schedule. That's the scientific advice that we are supposed to do. And we were supposed to do the vaccination to protect our animals. But unfortunately, the Honorable Madam Speaker, the Honorable Member is aware that we cannot vaccinate the place at the same time for CBP and also anthrax. Otherwise, the rate figures, I can come back to the House and give the rate later. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Sinazongwe.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Honorable Minister, that's how it started last year. 2 cases in Sinazongwe, we lost about over 240 animals. Now it has started in Kalabo. In terms of vaccines, Honorable Minister, at national level, how safe are we in an event that this matter escalates to the national level?
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member, for that follow-up question. Indeed, anthrax, that's the way it starts, especially when we don't have pasture. And with this situation we are going through of drought, we are also aware that anthrax can hit us anytime. But as a ministry, Madam Speaker, we are very much prepared. As I'm talking to the nation, we have already set our vaccines ready to start the program to vaccinate all our animals in the high-risk areas to start with, to protect and build on the immune system of our animals. We are set because these vaccines are not the vaccines that we import outside the country. These are the vaccines that we are producing at CVRI locally. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, as we come in, especially if we are coming late, let's quietly go to our respective seats and not disrupt the proceedings. I've seen this tendency of members walking in, walking out willy-nilly without paying much attention to what we are doing. It's not reflecting well to the people who are watching us. Just a reminder that we are here for serious business. The Honorable Member for, is it the Minister? The Honorable Member for Kalabo Central.
The government put in place to quicken and make a difference of where we are coming from. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Member. What measures are we putting in place to make sure that our people are convinced that we are really producing this vaccine locally? The first one is the availability of vaccines. We have made sure that the vaccines is available. Secondly, we are going in these areas that I have mentioned to start vaccination. And Madam Speaker, I'm assuring the honorable member that even as we are talking now, logistics are being put in place to make sure that our staff go in the field and start vaccinating. I think that is an assurance from government enough that it is not like the way it used to happen in the past. This time around, we respond. We are moving with the lead time in terms of vaccination. Hence, I've said that our schedule indicated to start vaccinating in June to protect our animals. But because of the situation of CBPP, we can't vaccinate simultaneously these two diseases at the same time. So, to prove to our people that we are really responding to the challenges that we are facing, is by seeing what we have put in place. And I'm sure the honorable member, I did engage him to help me also to pass this information to our good people in Kalabo Central, that the government is in the process to come and vaccinate all our animals. He must help us to make sure that our farmer avails their animals to be vaccinated against anthrax. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Bwana Mukubwa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Minister of Livestock and Fisheries. Mine, I just wanted to find out, Honorable Minister, on behalf of the people of Kalabo, looking at the lead time, we understand measures are being put in place, but what is the ministry doing to ensure that within this period from May, this is towards the end of June, that those animals are protected from further escalation or reinfection of other animals? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Livestock.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and thank you very much, Honorable Member. The ministry, as I'm talking to the honorable members and the nation, we are already in the process of putting up logistics to move in all our high-risk areas to start vaccinating. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I think we can make progress, but my observation is that the honorable member for Kalabo, most of the time, he asks questions, but is never satisfied. Maybe I would suggest that he is engaged more so that he doesn't cry. So we can make progress, but I will encourage you to engage more. Engage more. And I always say that each question that appears on the order paper, there is a background to the question. So, honorable ministers, you are encouraged to engage the honorable members asking these questions so that you try to address them. So we can make progress. The next question. Questions for oral answer under Standing Order 80. The honorable member for Kanchibia.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Question number 371.
The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member for Kanchivia, Honorable Sunday Chanda, is asking my ministry the following questions. A, whether the government has any plans to construct a bridge across Luitikira River to connect the Chiweshamfwamba and the Chiwa wards in Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. B, if so, when the plans will be implemented. C, what the estimated cost of the project is. And D, if there are no such plans, why? The response is as follows, Madam Speaker. A, the government has plans of constructing a bridge across the Luitikira River to connect Chiweshimfwamba and the Chiwa wards in the Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. B, the plans will be implemented once the Treasury secures the required funds for the project. C, the cost of the project will only be known once a detailed assessment of the required works has been undertaken and the engineering designs are prepared. D, as indicated at A above, government has plans to construct the bridge. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Chirubi, I thought I just guided that if we have to go out, let's do that quietly without interrupting the proceedings, because I'm being disturbed even me here. There's a lot of chatting, a lot of meetings where the proceedings are ongoing. That should not be encouraged. Please, if you have to go out quietly and come back quietly. Instead of greeting everyone as if you are meeting for the first time today. So let's now supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Kanchivia.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the Honorable Minister for the assurance to the people of Kanchivia on this particular bridge. This particular bridge, Madam Speaker, becomes very important for those of us from Kanchivia. Allow me to mention that Kanchivia as a district and the constituents at the same time lies in the Bangolu swamps as well as the Chambeshi floodplains. Madam Speaker, with one of the major rivers we have in Kanchivia is the Luitikira River. And let me commend the Ministry of Infrastructure that already we have an acro bridge being constructed in the western direction of Kanchivia constituency called Kaonda Acro Bridge. But this same river, Luitikira River, flows down into the Luchembe Chiefdom, and this is where this critical crossing point lies. My question to the Minister, in agreeing and being thankful that their plans, is just to understand whether an assessment has already been done by the Ministry with regards to this particular bridge, and whether what will be is an acro bridge or what type of bridge we'll be looking forward to. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development, do you have any comment?
Yes, Madam Speaker. The Ministry and the government through the Ministry is fully aware of the topology of that part of Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. Anyone who flies into Kasama if they look down, they will see how difficult the area is in terms of water, streams, and rivers. But to give an expanded answer to show that we have been looking at this particular situation, is that the government through the Road Development Agency, RDA, will undertake an assessment of the crossing point at Luitikira River, connecting the Chiweshi Mfwamba and the Chiva wards in Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. But we only do this in the third quarter of this year. And this will ascertain the scope and cost of the required intervention. The works on the crossing point will be undertaken once the required funds have been secured. But we will have done a study before that. At the moment, within the Kanchivia constituency, the government is presently engaged in the construction of 2 acro bridges. One is being erected over the Kanchivia River at Mlonga, while the other is being constructed across Luitikira River at Kaonda in Ichibwa Ward. I'm sure the Honourable Member can attest to that. And the progress on these acro bridges at Kanchivia River at Mlonga is currently at 92%. So we're about to complete that. And the progress on the works of the acro bridge across Luitikira River at Kaonda and Ichibwa Ward is currently at 75%. Furthermore, Madam Speaker, government has already assessed the Chiliwisha, Ngongwe, and the Chinjele crossing points in the Kanchivia parliamentary constituency. And the scope and the cost of the required interventions have been determined. Work will be undertaken once funds have been secured. Madam Speaker, with this answer, I think the Honourable Member will agree that work on crossing points in Kanchivia has been carried out extensively. We just await the availability of funds. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Kamfinso.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and Honourable Minister for Infrastructure. Thank you for your response. Madam Speaker, the Minister is aware that under his ministry, RDA has got a department that is responsible for design and planning. So we have enough competence in terms of designing what type of bridge can be done. And what I have noticed over the years, Madam Speaker, is that RDA hasn't got the money to directly implement these works. So they will have to include it in the work plan and then run an advert and then bring in a private company to come and do the actual bridge. My question, therefore, to you, Honourable Minister, are you considering as a ministry to create capacity within these regional offices, whether it's Copper Belt, whether it's Northern Province, the capacity not to just plan and design, but to be able to actually do the works, because that way, Honourable Minister, some of these works will be implemented quicker and we'll be able to save on public funds. So, Madam Speaker, my question to the Minister, when are we building capacity to do the actual work as RDA instead of just doing the planning and the designing? I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I thank the Honourable Member for Kamfinsa. Government has recognized the points that he's making, and that's why we are creating a paradigm shift in terms of what RDA does. In terms of maintenance, I think we're in the process of creating capacity to undertake maintenance on our roads. What was happening previously was that when a road is made or rehabilitated, always there was no maintenance, there was no follow-up maintenance, and you wait until it deteriorates and then you rehabilitate again, which was very expensive. So we are creating capacity within the regional offices to be carrying out maintenance. In terms of works undertaken on projects like bridges and in some cases roads, again, we are in the process of doing that. And in certain cases, you'll find that RDA have carried out work. In addition to RDA, we are using other wings of government, like Zambia National Service, Zambia Army itself, to undertake work on certain infrastructure concerned with roads, and also other types of infrastructure such as buildings. Even correctional services are now engaged in carrying out bridges. As a matter of fact, this Saturday, I was in the Lunte constituency, Lunte district, commissioning an acro bridge. You'll find that substantially, most of that work, the abutments and so on, was actually carried out by RDA. It wasn't contracted out. And there's wonderful work. And the honorable member there can attest, member for Lunte constituency can attest to that fact. So wherever possible, we do use RDA and we will expand their expertise so they do more. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The honorable member for Lufubu.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Minister, you know when you hear people cry louder, it's because they've got hope. The new Dawn government is the only hope they have. They were neglected by the previous government, and they've seen this hope. Hence, what they want is to see to it that they have that which they've cried for a long time. This bridge in Kanchivia, just like the way we need the bridge in Ngabwe to connect the two chiefdoms, Ngabwe chiefdom and Mukobwe chiefdom. These bridges are, Honorable Minister, long overdue. Now, when you say when money will be available, we are not sure when the money will be available. Would you try to comfort us by giving us at least some estimated time frame? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure, Housing and Urban Development.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The Honorable Member, Honorable Korala, is right in saying that the people have hope in the New Dawn government. They are justified in having that hope because, like someone, I think a preacher was saying that in terms of political parties, when you want to assess the direction, you should look at their title. The party in government is called United Party. So that alone tells you that they are very much concerned with uniting the country. National development. It means they're very concerned about taking development to all corners of the country. We also want those who call themselves patriotic to show their patriotism. So the issues that you have raised, when we talk about lack of resources, it's not because we want to repeat like a broken record. It is the current economic situation in which we find ourselves. And that is why the New Dawn government is working day and night to restructure this economy so we can begin the process of having our own resources to do some of these works that need to be done. In terms of borrowing, we were constrained. We couldn't borrow as long as they were defaulting on debt repayments. In November 2020, the previous government failed to pay just over $42 million, and we became the first country in Africa to default. on launch service. This we have done, and as we go forward, we ensure that more and more resources are available. We are constrained further by this catastrophic drought that we have had, but it will not be a permanent situation. We'll come out of it. So the people can further be expectant of what the new Dawn government will do. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Next question, the Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Question 372.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Information and Media.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And with the greatest indulgence of the whole House, kindly permit me, just before I answer the question, to update the nation. Madam Speaker, that today, the Government Republic of Zambia, through the Ministry of Information and Media, has today, the 25th June 2024, promulgated and signed the commencement order for the Access to Information Act number 24 of 2023. In line with the undertaking we made as government that the commencement order would be signed at the end of the year. Let me also take this opportunity to inform our citizens that the rules, regulations, and guidelines that we see and implementation of the access to information are present, worked out for Zambia, the Human Rights Commission, the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Information working together. As a matter of fact, the first consultative workshop, which took 5 days, concluded last week, and feedback has been given back to stakeholders to inform the contents of those rules, regulations, and guidelines, and that the nation shall be accordingly informed as and when we make certain steps or strides that we deem fit the nation to be informed about. Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Speaker. The Honourable Member of Parliament for Chadiza, Mr. J. Daka MP, asks the Minister of Information and Media a question in two parts. In A, when the government will procure the following to enhance the operations of the Zambia News and Information Services, ZANIS, in Chadiza district. 1, computers. 2, recorders. 3, cameras. 4, public address system and motor vehicles. And in B, what the cause of the delay in procuring the equipment is. Madam Speaker, in the last 2 years, government through the Ministry of Information and Media has procured some equipment for the Zambia News and Information Services, ZANIS, headquarters, provincial and selected districts offices across the country. Due to limited budgetary allocation, the ministry is procuring equipment in a phased approach. The equipment includes broadcast equipment for the ZANIS studio, professional video cameras, public address systems, computers, recorders, and motor vehicles. So far, government has procured 10 professional video cameras for all the 10 provinces, 10 full sets of public address systems for all the 10 Zanis provincial offices, and over 60 digital cameras for Zanis district offices, including Chadiza. The procurement of more equipment such as vehicles, computers, and public address systems and recorders for all districts, including Chadiza, will be profiled in the 2025 national budget. The delay in procuring all the required equipment for all Zanis district offices, including Chadiza, has been due to funding constraints. Further, Madam Speaker, there has been, over time, neglect of Zanis in previous administrations. The state of infrastructure and equipment currently under the charge of Zanis is pretty nothing much to talk home about. Zanis, through the Ministry of Information, requires an overhaul of their funding for them to come up to speed to the required capacity that they are charged to be able to perform. Additionally, Madam Speaker, Zanis is funded under the provincial administration. Zanis office, district offices are funded under the provincial administration, which the Ministry of Information and Media is presently proposing a reversal that through the 2025 national budget, Zanis, being a department under the Ministry of Media and Information, should be funded directly under the ministerial budget. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. Before we go to supplementary questions, there was an indication from the Honorable Member for Lunte for a point of order. What's the point of order, Honorable Member for Lunte?
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Madam Speaker, there is a precedence in terms of how we tender discourse on the floor of the House. I rise on this point of order pursuant to precedence. Madam Speaker, and the point of order is against the Honourable Minister of Information. Madam Speaker, the Minister heads a sector which deals with information. Is he in order, therefore, to come to this House to start tendering press statements which are not provided for in our standing order, including the new standing orders, which has never been seen in this Assembly? Madam Speaker, why doesn't the Minister take the liberty to mobilize media who are under his jurisdiction? Instead, he chooses this Assembly to come and issue a press statement against precedents and provisions of our standing orders. I seek your ruling on the matter, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Lunte. Before the Honorable Minister said what he did, he asked for permission that he wanted to notify the Honorable Members on this issue of signing this, bringing into force the Information, Access to Information Act. So I granted him that permission. So I had given him that permission. He didn't do it on his own. But thank you for being alert. So we go to supplementary questions. The Honorable Member for Chadiza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Minister, thanks for that response that you have given to the people of Chadiza. And I'm glad you are aware about the obtaining situation at our Zanis office in Chadiza. Honorable Minister, I would like to acknowledge receipt of the video cameras. We received it. However, Honorable Minister, has got no transport. I'm talking about what is obtaining currently. This office has got no transport, no computers, no furniture, no public address system, and any other related infrastructure that would enable an office to function properly. Honorable Minister, a good government normally provides solutions to any obtaining situation for its citizens on short-term basis, medium and long-term basis. Therefore, my question, Honorable Minister, in terms of short-term solutions, what is it that you have put in place to ensure that you make this office for Zanis in Chadiza function?
My answer, the fact that Zanis, over time, neglected. If the proper investments in this particular department were made by successive governments to where we are, we would not have been where we are as we speak today. And that is why in the immediate term, we as a ministry are now taking ownership of Zanis, that it is a department under the ministry, and therefore are proposing that the funding that comes from the provincial administration, which is very lean, that funding channel should now come through the ministry, and will be lobbying robustly, and you should join us in lobbying robustly that the Minister of Finance, that Zanis should be properly